Welcome to Engine Adventures. Today we've got the 2020 Mercedes GLC 43. This is the AMG. There are two versions of the AMG, a 43 and a 63. This one has a 3-liter biturbo V6. Biturbo apparently means twin turbo, so it's got one turbo on each exhaust manifold of the V, and has, I don't even remember, I'll have to put that up on the screen, about 385 horsepower and 385 torque, something like that. It's got air suspension all around, has adjustable dampers as well. Not quite got all the features, but it's got a lot of features and handles amazingly well. It's clearly designed as a track ready vehicle, of course being from AMG, and it does have the track pages in it, so if you do take it to a track that's in the system, it'll keep track of lap times and other stuff for you. It's tiny. There's hardly any room back there in the rear seats and in the cargo area, but overall really enjoying this thing. So the hood's pretty long on this, and the engine is almost a front mid engine, so there's like the center line of the axles and it sits back behind there. And one awesome thing about the hood is, there we go. All right, so that's kind of like your standard height. It opens to there, no problem. You can see, so here's the center line of the axles, and that's just barely the front of the engine. Even though the cover goes way far forward, the front of the engine is basically right at that center line of the axles. Anyway, back to the hood. So it opens like the standard height, but you can just keep going and going and going, and then it opens like that, which is pretty impressive. But I think some of that is you've got a dipstick back here, and just makes it easy to work on. I don't know if I can show you those turbos. I can barely see it in there, so you probably can't see the turbo down in there. Anyway, one turbo on each side, and overall just a great vehicle. I don't know why the battery jump start location's open, but usually the battery's stored somewhere else on these for weight and space savings in the engine bay. So we're not going to go over everything, but here you can adjust your headrest up and down. This is the backrest angle, the seat, sliding it forward and back and lifting it up and down. And then this is this front bolster. I'll just show you on this other seat right here. So if you push this one, it moves that. And you can get them adjusted exactly how you want. Like I said, it does have the air suspension. It's in the high mode right now. Oh, the engine's not on, so I'm not gonna be able to adjust it. But look at this steering wheel. So you have everything on this right-hand side kind of controls what's going on the screen. So you can see this is a touch screen that you can scroll side to side and up and down with, and it has all sorts of different themes and stuff you can do. Anyway, there are just too many systems in here to go through it all right now. And then this one is a button that goes to individual mode on your drive modes, and you can adjust, you know, your throttle response. Let me pull that back up. So you can adjust throttle response, whether your transmission is an auto or manual. And then the AMG driving dynamics, so when you go to like sport mode and stuff, it'll change that. And then your suspension in comfort mode, you can change it to sport and sport plus, and then the exhaust as well. So this dial adjusts your drive modes. So you, excuse me, you have slippery, individual, comfort, sport, and sport plus. And then as you do that, it also adjusts these ones over here, and these are adjustable as well. So you can go to the suspension, it's in comfort mode. I want it in sport mode, just hit that button, sport plus, back to comfort. So you can go through auto manual, auto stop start, traction control. You do it once, it's got to be on. Okay, we'll turn it on. So you can see it's lowering back down to the normal ride height. But so if you hit the traction control button once, it does the sport handling mode. And then if you hold it down, you can turn it off. Okay, and then your exhaust note, you can switch through these settings too. They're actually very similar to this one, but it does have the exhaust. And so you can hear that, hopefully, and then the normal mode. It's just not quite as aggressive. The sound system's really pretty good on this thing. It does have the panorama moonroof, I don't know. So that does open, sunroof, I guess. And the rear doesn't open, which is fine. At least as far as I know, it doesn't open. Let me go all the way. Like I said, there's so many features in this thing, I'm just not going to go through it all. But what I do like, so despite having, you know, this side controls this screen up here, and you can scroll through it and put whatever you want up. You can change the gauges and all that from here. Despite having all of these buttons on the steering wheel, the climate control is simple. So everything here is for the climate control except for that button, and then you just have a few other little buttons down here. Inside of there is a cigar lighter, because we were a Mercedes, so it must be a cigar lighter. And then the ashtray, kind of interesting. A couple of cup holders there. This touchpad just controls that main screen up there again. And then it has the different drive modes here that you can cycle through, manual versus automatic transmission. And it does, I don't know if I showed these, but the shift paddles are here. And the shift lever is actually the stalk. So you push it up to go to reverse, it drops back down into the neutral position on its own. And then, so, but now I'm in reverse, now I'm in drive. And if you do a halfway, it'll go to neutral. And then you push in on the end for park. This one does have surround view cameras. It's kind of a weird setting, but anyway, you can do all the different views. So the rear camera, I don't know if you heard it when I pushed the button, but it actually kind of hides itself, and then it will pop out once it needs the camera. A little bit of storage space in here, a couple USB ports. This one connects to the infotainment system. That's just one for charging. Go ahead and shut it off. Oh, we were gonna check that. So let's see. Yeah, so the rear one doesn't open, just the front. My sunglasses don't fit for my normal ones, but I have the thin ones today. So these ones do just barely fit in there. Easy enough. And let's climb in the back real quick. So back here, it's pretty normal. There's not a whole lot. Got the speakers there, no heated seats or anything. These vents are adjustable, and you can adjust the airflow with this. I don't know if you can see it moving down in there. Anyway, you can open and close it with that for how much air is coming out. And then, yeah, decent view, sunroof up here, has the reading lights, which these reading lights are different. I actually really like them. So they're not the super white LEDs as are often found in the newer vehicles. They're kind of the right amount of light. So little center armrest here, not a lot of space, and then the cup holders, and they actually do work pretty easy. If you put a cup in there, it unfolds on its own and will hold your cup just fine. I didn't text them out while I was driving, but it seems like they do hold things just fine. There's little anchor points up here. I'm not sure what those are for. And let's move to the trunk. This is the rear camera that pops out when, how do I open this? Oh, it's right there, duh. Okay, anyway, so when you put it in reverse, that little thing pops open and the camera comes out of there. So you can adjust the ride height from here. It didn't seem to work very fast. It was moving, and then this button will fold those seats, and it folds them violently. I'm not sure why it won't do it. There we go. Apparently I pushed it the wrong way. Anyway, so just kind of throws those down and gets them out of your way real quick. No spare tire or anything on this one because it is the AMG version. They've taken all that out to save weight, I imagine. There is just the tow hook back in there. I mean, it's a decent amount of space, I guess, back here for a little two-row SUV. That's not bad. I mean, I can reach the back seat pretty easily. It does have the cargo cover. And then, of course, oops. Oh, yeah, that was the right button. Anyway, and that will lock it too, I think. So, overall, great vehicle. And this thing is fast. 0 to 60 is like 4.5 seconds. I think it's 4.7. And it's little, it's very nimble. This one particular model, or whatever, anyway, has the air suspension package and adjustable dampers as well. So there's a lot of adjustability in the suspension as you go through each of those modes. And it's easy to get yourself in trouble in this thing because it's so fast. This thing doesn't like slow speed maneuvers, so as you get more in the throttle, it transfers power really well, but in lighter throttle applications, when you're just trying to crawl, it doesn't transfer the power super well. In slippery mode, it seemed like the throttle was less sensitive, as in it took more throttle input to be able to get speed back out of it, and it seemed to require about the same amount of wheel speed before it transferred power side to side. So in sport mode, the throttle was more sensitive, but again, seemed like there was the same amount of wheel speed before it was able to transfer power, and you need to be kind of aggressive for it to transfer that power and make it up this climb. And everything was roughly the same here in Sport Plus mode as it was in Sport mode. Just some quick thoughts on how this thing drives off-road. So I am in the race suspension setting, which is this button right there. And this is a sports car. It's basically a high-speed SUV, and it rides a little bit like that on the dirt. So it doesn't absorb the bumps super well. I mean, it's very controlled, but there's just not a lot of suspension travel, and it's not a softer suspension that eats up the bumps. It's pretty stiff. As you saw, the MATIC all-wheel drive system. So basically all that is it has a clutch pack just before you get into the rear differential, and unless Mercedes has changed that recently, I believe this is new for 2020, so they may have updated that system, but otherwise it uses that clutch pack to distribute the power to the rear axle, and then for side to side it just applies the brakes. So I have mentioned this before, but sports cars, vehicles designed for traction, really good dynamics at high speed, typically have pretty good underbody designs. So you can see how flat everything is here. The exhaust is the only thing that kind of hangs down lower, and in some places that's even protected. So it has a pretty good off-road profile from underneath. So here are just a few attempts of making this climb. I'm still down in the easy portion before it really even gets to choosing an easier or harder line. I mean, right there I could choose a slightly easier line, but even readjusting and trying this multiple times, taking different lines, I was able to make part of the way up the easy line, but this vehicle just seemed to struggle with this. It's interesting because a comparable vehicle, the BMW X6, was able to make this no problem, and I believe maybe the off-road package in the GLC would have helped it make this. And you can see there, like, there are times where it can lift wheel and make a climb pretty easily, but it's just trying so hard to do that. And eventually the system got hot and told me that the traction system was being reduced. After that little climb, it keeps switching off between these two, cruise control inoperative and active brake assist functions limited. So that's the traction control that brakes the spinning wheels. So maybe I did heat up the system too much, but either way, this thing really struggled to make the climb. Not sure it would have done it. So I might be able to make it up this hill, but I'm just not willing to risk damaging this vehicle. So it's really struggling. Put it in the sport mode and it does a little better in Sport Plus, but it just doesn't quite provide enough braking power to get it where it needs to be as far as climbing. So I mean, it transfers power side to side pretty well. These tires are obviously road going tires, so they're not made for this, but the BMW X6 made this really quite easily. And this one, I understand it's more of a street vehicle than the X6 is, but still just unable to do it. Thanks for watching Engine Adventures review of the 2020 Mercedes GLC 43. This is the AMG 4MATIC version, and if you liked what you saw, go ahead and hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, comment down below with any questions you may have.